Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of my World of Tanks Debriefings. Today, this episode is brought to you by Gambit0010 from the WoH clan. He sent me a game here in his Caernarvon on the map Erlenberg on Assault. Whoa, I didn't know people even played Assault anymore. It is certainly not one of my favorite game types. It's very difficult to win on, as much as I hate to say, on both sides. If you do not have a good team on either assault or defense, it's not going to be a good game for you. You have to have a good team in order to win. It's not like a game where you can kind of squeak it out with a back cap or anything like that. It's really tough, and every map makes a big difference. Like Erlenberg is not easy to win on, as they have really good positionings on hills and in forests. So that's a lot of maps. But anyway, my personal thoughts aside on assault, again, I'm impressed that people are playing it. So let's take a look here to what Mr. Gambit can do here. And apparently he's teamed up with another buddy of his, Gunner Leet, down there from BPO clan. So let's get going, shall we? So he's starting out at the bottom on the left. Let me up my map size there. There we go. And so he's where is he gonna go? Typically I don't know, if I were to start on the left, I'd probably head to the left and around the 1-2 column, but I guess it kind of really depends on where your team is kind of playing out, and also what your tank kind of is. If you're a fast tank, you can get away with some of the other areas, but, oh man, then again, yeah, the 1-2 area is going to lead you up to be kind of sniped all the way up, whereas this 9-0 area does have some hills and cover in the way, especially if you can get on top of the hill right at about the EF area. The rows there, and then you can actually use the trees there and you can snipe down onto targets. So we'll see as to what he plans to do and where he plans to go. The Caernarvon's kind of interesting. It's a very bouncy tank if you can get its turret in the right areas, but the hull itself isn't exactly the best, and the gun is not too bad. It's a pretty decent gun. It's when the British finally start getting some decent weaponry with this tank being the tier 8. It's kind of like a separation. Tier what, like 4 through 7 is all the same, and then 8 and 9 are the same, and then 10 they finally get an additional weapon. So there we go. His first little target there's a IS-3. He's just charging instead of stopping. I guess taking rounds to the front because he knows he can absorb some of it. Ugh, loses his gunner right off the bat to the T-29. That's rough. And of course, just getting a track damage, nothing significant, but he's doing the right thing, charging ahead till he can get into some decent cover. Now that he's actually in cover and his turret's the only thing exposed, he'll be much better off and start to bounce things. Now the nice thing about the British tanks is their rate of fire is pretty decent, so he'll be able to pound this T-29 who's just kind of hanging out in the open all day long, and unless he decides to start moving, he's gonna get taken out really quickly. And of course he hasn't, so he knows exactly where he was. Alright, so yeah, taking out the T-29 at the moment, he's the easiest target, while the other ones would require him to expose himself. So he's doing it about right. Of course, tweaking around a bit to prevent, I don't know what he's trying to prevent, I guess anyone from lining up a solid shot on any weak spots, which is a good idea. Make sure that no one has a weak spot shot on you. Just move around a bit. There we go, one target taken out. Now we can focus out on some of the others. Now it comes down to what's easy to hit versus what's going to risk exposing yourself to some greater threat here. And it looks like this KV-1S is going to be an easy target to hit. I wouldn't go expose myself to try and take out that 45. The KV-1's still easy to hit. He's going to do damage to you if you do come out. So just kind of wiggle back and forth like he's doing to prevent people from targeting him. Also a good thing. Try and finish him off if you can. Come on, buddy, you can do it. Nope, no need. So moving on, again, now it's going to come down to what is around here. I thought I saw a KV-4 in the area. Well, 36 is not going to be much of a threat, but again, systematically take things out one at a time. There's something on the hill above him, but he might be in a safe spot where he doesn't need to worry about it. And then it looks like that's exactly what the case is. He doesn't need to worry about it. Just deal with the small little guy first, so that way you can keep going on without having someone pestering you from side to side doing, what, 1 to 200 damage a shot, which in all, if you're ignoring it, it's going to add up really quick. So he's systematically moving up, which is probably a good thing at this point. Losing a check, not a big deal. Yeah, the IS-3. If he had went to go tackle the IS-3 instead of ignoring the 3601, he would have exposed himself to both the KV-4 and the 45 over here, as opposed to just the one tank. So yeah, again, now he's going to go head-to-head, which is a smart thing to do. He's going one-on-one here, and really only exposing himself to just a very little bit, with his turret being a quite bouncy turret. Now, if he finishes off these tanks, he'll just move on to the next one. They really, in order to effectively tackle him, they should kind of charge at him. But then again, they don't have the option to charge because they're looking at having to fight off a whole bunch of tanks behind him. So what they should do is keep backing up, let him have to come up over the ridge to expose himself, and that's what they're not doing. They're allowing him to use the strengths of this tank to his advantage, which is the great thing here. He's just able to poke his head up, shoot little weak parts on the other tanks, whereas that little 3601 right there is being very dangerously moving. So preying on the weak target there, I might have went off to the KV-1 instead, but this IS-3 looks like he's going to expose himself, which is another bad idea. So they're kind of piecemealing themselves out into open spots for him to tackle. Again, I probably would have went after the KV-4 myself, but he was able to get him in the end, and they really kind of stopped focusing on him. I guess maybe the teammates behind him crawled up enough to expose themselves, making them juicy targets for them to attack. I'm not quite sure, but either way, pretty much cleared all of that. There's not too much left on the enemy team. They've got a decent-sized lead here, but they just about evened it up by one tank difference now. So, now, and there is a Jagdpanzer IV. He's obviously not even looking at the targets there. And it's not really going to be too much of a big threat. It looks like almost he's AFK. Not too, again, not a big threat at all. He's just getting pegged on and off by Mr. Gambit here. So at this point, he's going for the cap. Not really too much to worry about. That 45 is nowhere to be found. Where is that? The Jagdpanzer IV is just kind of, you know, hanging out, didn't do anything, got killed, no problems. So the only things to look out for are the two Super Pershings, which I'm really sure as to where they are. Things are blowing in around him, so I'm imagining that's the grill. But it looks like he has a clear line of sight right to the cap. So if he goes into the cap here and then ducks into the street, either right here to get a little bit of safety, or the next building up, the Dicker Max hit him. He's still exposed to the side of that Dicker Max. Now the Dicker Max could hit him again. Yep, there we go. So he's taking a little bit of damage there. One more, oof, that's not good. One more hit and he's in trouble. There's the grill. So he needs to focus now on burning down that grill. The only thing that can hurt him if he's in a safe position. The grill's running away. Oh no, he's repositioning. And he gets a lucky high roll hit. Now he should pretty much contain himself right here to the edge. If not, he really should push into that building a little more, or even go up to the next building, because it gets really safe there. Now he's just going to kind of hide and seek there. I would honestly come up right in about that area and duck into that building, because that area really is safe. There's nothing that can hit you unless they come all the way around this bridge, exposing themselves to your firing first. So with that artillery gone, unless things are dead in line with that 6 area, they're not going to be able to really do too much to them. As you can see, I'm fighting off yawning here while I'm talking. It's nothing cut to the game. It's just because it's early in the morning. So with and he's in a decent spot at least. He's got the bridge protected. If he really needs to, he can back into the little nook there next to the building. Personally, I'd get a little more safe. I'm not too keen on where he's sitting, but, you know, to each their own. So the A is coming around the bend, so he tracks him. Not exactly the best shot at there, because now he's having to deal with the A knowing where he's at, and both of these tanks here are 3-hit kills for him. Ooh, he gets lucky there that he didn't get killed and they only had a track shot on him. He really needs to back up. Well, at this point it's not going to matter, because he can't cap anymore, and he gets aced by the A. The A did sneak in another shot there, and we didn't see where. So let's see how this battle plays out real quick. It is a nail biter here, only down by 1, and they're pushed back to the cap, whereas they have a... They're all kind of contained to one specific area where I saw a super Pershing behind them. So they lose another tank, evening it out. They have a KV-3 in the back, their Tiger in the front. Ooh, this is going to be rough. So sadly, he now is dependent on the team. He already pulled a Top Gun, so he's done everything he can. He's even played enough for the rest of the team, and now the enemy has the advantage here. with a one tank advantage. Can they pull it out for him? Again, doing everything he can. Not exactly the best circumstance. That 4502 is down to one shot from the Tiger. Can he kill it off? No, the Tiger's down. So that leaves us with the KV3 and the KV1S. KV1S is full up. He can almost one-shot everything that's there. The KV3, on the other hand, if he doesn't find this jumbo or super Pershing, he's in trouble. So there he goes. Oh man, what is this going to turn out to be? Is this going to be a victory or a loss? I don't know. So the KV3 is pushing the cap, or not the KV1S is pushing the cap. The KV3 is sitting here dealing with this super Pershing, who neither of which are able to penetrate each other very well. Oh man, what's going to happen? That super Pershing really should just press onto the rear of the KV3 here, come around from behind and take him out. Wouldn't be too big of a deal if he did. Now, of course, that KV1S. Let's see. Oh, he does switch to him. Good. He has the ability to one-shot at least that VK. Tiger, maybe if he gets a high roll. The Super Pershing, not so much. And so he ends up backing out of the game. So we're going to have to take a look at the stats to see exactly what happens here. It would have been nice to see the end, but no big deal. Let's go take a look at the stat page. You sent it to me, so let's go see that. Alright, so as you can see here, sadly he wasn't able to pull it out. He did all he could. I mean, seriously, you get a Top Gun, there's nothing else that you can do. You did everything you could for your team, and sadly the team just couldn't do it in the time they had left. It looks like the Tiger and the VK were still alive at the end. It looks like everything survived to the end that was left on the screen when he ended the recording there. And sadly, that's just sometimes the breaks of it. He did very well, earning a lot of experience for a non-double, doing for a defeat, earning over 1,600 and earning 75,000 credits basically, and a Top Gun. He did all he could. He pulled his weight and tried to carry the team the best he can. His back was hurting him for sure. And look at that, he even damaged the 1S pretty significantly. The Jagdpanzer IV pretty good. So I mean, he could have easily gotten Bolter's medal or whatever it's called nowadays. It was Whitman's, I think it's Bolter's now. And sadly, he just couldn't take the overwhelming force. It is what it is. Now, I mean, as you can see, he spotted a whole lot. He was the forefront of the fight. He did everything he could. I mean, you can't fault him. The only thing I would have done differently, well, one thing bad I would have probably done was be a little aggressive back there and ended up tackling things on that hill differently, which might have led me to being killed earlier. So he played it very cool-headed, which was highly recommended, taking his time and whittling off targets that he knew he could tackle without exposing himself, and then wiggling the tank just enough to prevent people from aiming at like a hatch or anything that's weak. So he did that exactly right. The only thing differently I would have done is I would have probably slipped into that building, like I said, so that way I would have been protected. I maybe would have been able to get that cap off if one of the person joined me. Maybe would have been able to get it if they got tackled on that bridge instead. You know, there's things you can say that you would do differently, but that's one thing I know I would have done differently, would have been sit in between those buildings. That was one building up from where he was. That place really eliminates their ability to hit you unless they come all the way around. At that point, they're taking hits from everybody to come and get you. So that's the one thing I would have recommended that he did differently, and that might have turned the battle in his favor and won the game for him. They did have the number advantage, so that might have made all the difference in the world. We won't know, but something to think about in the future. So let's move on to the team score here, and as you can see, sorted by his the scoring for experience, easily tops out on top with 1,000 there. So doubling anywhere near any of his closest teammates, and tripling and quadrupling almost all of them. Pretty much from the 5th player down, he's already quadrupling, if not more, their experience they earned. So he significantly pulled his weight. Some of the other tanks did their best, but just not enough. And I mean, at the end there, time ran out. 10 minutes is a very short battle. They weren't able to do it. And as you can see, the other team, that 4502A, certainly pulled it out. He has 2 medals. I'm assuming one's probably a sniper and the other's probably a steel wall. So he did excellent as well. And I mean, sometimes that's just how it is. You just can't win them all. So again, the only difference I would have done was snuck into that little building so I would have been safe. But other than that, he played it, he did his best, and sadly the team couldn't carry the momentum he started. When you get 6 kills and you're the only one on the team, and you basically are carrying the team, and the team doesn't help out, sadly there's nothing you can do but just hang your head and just say, okay, well, time to go into another game and repeat that same success. So, thank you Gambit for sending this one in. I hope you guys enjoyed this debriefing, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks guys.